Now we're going to preserve the velvet on a deer and velvet. I'm going to do an artificial European horn mount, and what it is, these antlers in velvet, I ordered an artificial skull. So basically all I'm going to do is cut the antlers off, clean the skull cap off, bolt these antlers to just like a piece of wood, like an old, maybe an old plaque or something. And then I'm going to start injecting denatured alcohol or bird injection fluid into the antlers to preserve the velvet. So I'm going to try to get under the velvet, maybe get to a vein, and see if I can't pump some of the blood out through the top of through the tips. And see, yeah, if I can pump some blood out, that'd be great. If not, I'm just going to pump it full of that bird injection fluid or denatured alcohol, either one. I hadn't made up my mind yet. Bird injection fluid will probably get less shrinkage than denatured alcohol, but both will work and both will preserve the velvet, keep the velvet from coming off. I probably don't need to do this because I think I'm going to cut where I can see the rear part of the eye socket. I'd rather cut too much bone off than not enough. I guess it don't hurt. But like from the center of the burr, from this down to the back corner of the eye is exactly 1 3/4. You can see it right there. And the other one is the same way. So I'm in good shape right there. Generally, they tend to be about 1 3/4, more than they are other sizes. From the center of the burr of the antler to the back corner of the eye. Well, now I just saw off, just like I do any other deer. And I usually saw about right here, which I think I may, yeah, that should be all right. It's just a slot. But I'm going to cut just right behind the eye. Just like a regular deer skull, I find the point of the back of the noggin. People got it too, right there at the back of the skull. Then I start heading towards, try to be even with it. And I'm trying to get towards the back corner of the eye is where I'm trying to get. It's a little bit harder because you don't want to booger the velvet up on the antlers, so you don't want to touch them. The blade's what does the work anyhow. See when I get that done. And of course you just pop the brains out over a trash can. You get your borax and all that good stuff, you know. Start cleaning. There's a little skin. So you can see it. Then I get my X-Acto knife or my knife or whatever, start cutting off excess meat and, you know, doing it just like you were doing if you were going to mount it for a deer. I mean, mount it on, you know, do a shoulder mount with it. Just start cleaning everything off. Same thing. Yeah, I noticed a lot of times if you've got an X-Acto knife blade that's you might have used once or something, you can actually put an edge back on those blades, and they're perfect for like cutting the meat off the skull mount or something. That way you don't have to, you know, use a brand new blade every time you want to do something. Especially if you're just plucking meat off a bone. It's going to dull it out anyway because you're plucking meat off a bone. But you'd be surprised how sharp these X-Acto knife blades will get if you run them across a sharpening steel. Almost like they're new again. It's almost like a brand new knife blade. A lot of times there's some like cartilage and skin and all that stuff, and you just want to get it off as good as you can. You can even go back a little bit later get more of it off, you know. Cartilage is just kind of stuff next to the skull. Have to kind of carve it off a little bit. It's not like skin per se. Yeah, like right in here, there's a lot of meat here on the sides I didn't get. Get all this old soft meat off. Do that, just work a little borax down the end there to bring it up real good. Then you can get your knife back on it and get some more of that stuff off. Some of the worst cuts you'll get can be with an X-Acto knife blade, and it can be while working on these antlers. So just be careful. I got my skull pretty much clean. Probably end up cutting this off down here on the end. Or I hope so. I'll put a couple back here too. Okay, now we're going to try to preserve these velvet antlers. What I usually use is this denatured alcohol. Pump it full of denatured alcohol. But I'm going to try the bird injection fluid. But see, you can see it's real rubbery on the end. What I do is I'll put it like a small hole in the end of it. But see, the ends are real rubbery, which tells me that I can get between the bone and the velvet and pump it full of this bird injection fluid. And in theory, you're supposed to be able to like hit a vein or something and get the blood to pump out to the top. We're going to try and see if we can't pump him up. You know, get under the get between the bone and the velvet. I try to pump it up that way. I just got me a syringe. And probably slightly too big, maybe. I mean, it's probably better to have something a little bit smaller. I'm making just a real small hole that's not noticeable. I should be able to, oh yeah. See how it's swelling up right here? I've got it pumped full. Watch those antlers grow. They're actually swelling up where I'm pumping it full of this stuff. Well, I can't really get any blood or anything out of it, but I can. See how it's swelling up? Oh wow, it just swelled up all through here. I think that's what you want to kind of plump it up, if it'll plump up. Now with denatured alcohol, I think it'd have a lot more shrinkage, which is why I'm using this. Full strength, not diluted or anything. But like places right in here, I can see where it's like swelling up and everything. Well, it's not swell, it's going somewhere. I don't know where it's going. Oh, it's going to the bottom. That's good. Yeah, here we are. See it swelling up? Watch it swell up. Wow, all the way down. Wow. Well, see, it swelled up, went all the way down here. In other words, in between the velvet and the antlers, I put a big bunch of bird injection foot fluid all the way down through there. So a lot of times you can find a little cavity there in between the bone and the velvet, and I fill it full of this stuff. Oh yeah, watch it swell. See it swelling? Fill that sucker plumb full. Yeah, that'll kind of help plump it back up and preserve it. Well, it would take a second syringe, so I'm going to put it in and kind of study where it goes. But I should be able to see it swell up. Must have went back here or something. It didn't come. Sometimes it'll come out of the bottom if you put like little holes down in the bottom a little bit while it's still kind of soft. A lot of times it will track right down through there, come through the bottom. We have these little junction areas right here. They're soft. And you can pump them full. Well, I pumped it full. Yeah, it's full. Look at that. Whoop. I mean, go that far. So work on getting these brow tines. Yeah, this deer still got like soft ends. Soft tips, I guess is the right word. Should swell right up. See it swell up right through there? Wow. Whoop. Had a blowout. All this swelled up through here. The hole is kind of dried up. Now, if I had a hole there, you can see it kind of like a vein right there. If I'd have had that hole where it was open a little bit, I think it would have tracked. Maybe it would come out through there, maybe not. But you get the idea of what's going on. I pumped it back up. It's literally full of that bird feed injection fluid. I mean, full of it. Let's see it swell up. Whoop, shot out right through there. The places where it's shooting out is where I've already put holes where I've put some before. Doing every time that way, swelling it up as good as it'll swell, then I'm going to work on the main beams. If you can get in there and pump some stuff in there, go ahead and do it. Where the burrs at the base, fuck, I can get some in there too. Just pumped real good up through the main beam right there. It's even dripping out a little bit. Filled it plumb full. Just get in between the velvet and the bone. And pump that sucker full. Look at that. I don't know where it all going, but it's inside the... See, it's even dripping out of the top now. That's a good sign. I'm just doing a really good job pumping this thing full of it. I pumped him like really, really full. But here's something else you can do. I'll stick this down here in my denatured alcohol. And I'll just spray the outside everywhere. Make sure it's good and saturated. Kind of helped me like places where I couldn't get. And trust me, I've tried everything. I'll just cover it with that denatured alcohol to the outside of it. It's not as sticky as that bird injection fluid. I'll just go along here. Make sure it's all good and wet. Especially the back. Places where you couldn't get. Just soak the whole thing. Probably even put it in a spray bottle would be great. Just spray that sucker down. Be easier than using a syringe. Well, I ended up filling a bottle full of denatured alcohol. Let's see how it works. Oh, it works good. I don't know if it's going to do anything to the plastic. Well, you get the idea. This is actually probably wasted a lot more than using a syringe. Here we are. But I know it doesn't stick to the velvet. It's not going to mat the velvet down and all that weird stuff. Make sure you get everywhere you didn't get before. To be honest with you, it's probably better to just keep it with a syringe or something. Make sure you get every little place. There you go. And then over the next few days, it's probably better just to keep it in a syringe and just dampen everything down. But like, I'll do it like maybe 2 or 3 times a day for like the next week or something, or at least twice a day. Make sure everything's preserved real good, where it's not stinking and everything. And then I go ahead and do what you got to do with him. If you got to mount a deer head with it, let him dry good first, and then mount him just like you would any other deer. Or in this case, I got to put him on a European skull mount. So I've got it's a fake European horn mount skull, because I didn't want to run into all the trouble of trying to do it without running the velvet. You know, there's other ways you can do it, but you can run the velvet. So I tried to avoid that. So basically what I'm going to do, cut the skull to match the slot that's in the artificial skull, then use epoxy sculpt, preferably white epoxy sculpt because it matches better. Then I'm going to paint the whole skull white and then put a gloss over it. So that's, and then mount it on a European horn mount plaque. So that's going to be coming up later. But this is how you do the velvet, you know, like for a velvet antler, this is the way I do it. And I've had them, they're still lasting. So, I mean, I must be doing something right. This is how I do a velvet deer.